In June 2018, Danny McBride confirmed that he and David Gordon Green had originally intended to pitch two films that would be shot back to back, and then decided against it, waiting to see the reaction to the 2018 film. In September 2018, producer Jason Blum said that we will do a sequel if the movie performs, and by October 2018, after the film's opening weekend, McBride confirmed that early development on a sequel had begun. In June 2019, it was reported that a sequel would begin filming in September 2019, with Green returning to write the script and direct, and Curtis, Greer, and Matichak reprising their roles from the 2018 film. On July 8, 2019, Bloody Disgusting reported that the studio was not only considering filming two sequels back-to-back, but also releasing both of them in October 2020. Green had worked with McBride and co-writer Jeff Fradley to map out two films before realizing they had enough material to make a trilogy. On July 19, 2019, Universal Pictures revealed the titles and release dates of two sequels that were announced. First of the two sequels to be released would be David Gordon Green's 2021 film, Halloween Kills.
Hey, Michael. It's Halloween. Everyone's entitled to one good scare.
Let them fight.
You're a wizard, Harry.
You're gonna need a bigger boat. I'll be back.
Death has come to your little town, Jim.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Chills and Thrills. Connor here along with Chris, and we are continuing the Halloween franchise here with Halloween Kills. So we are getting that much closer to Halloween. And Chris, I know I seen this in theaters, and did you see this in theaters?
I did. I showed my younger brother Halloween, then the 2018 Halloween, and then we saw this in theaters. Actually, this is one of the last big horror movies I even saw in theaters.
How did you come out of the theater feeling after this one?
So generally, like, because it was a good time out with my younger brother, just watching like a scary movie. We don't exactly watch a lot of like horror movies or anything. So like generally positive. There's things about it I prefer to 2018. Or there's a lot of things about it actually that I think I prefer to 2018. But then there's all these things that are like that I don't prefer to 2018, and then a lot of things that it's like this isn't so much a problem here and now, but it sort of leads to many things that grievances I have with Halloween Ends, and it's like it's not great for the trilogy. It not to go on a little rant here, but it's very the trilogies that I keep comparing on this podcast are the modern Halloween trilogy, the modern Star Wars trilogy, and what was the Jurassic World trilogy. And it's like the first one comes out, and it's very nostalgic, very formulaic, very by the book, just like another story, but it's just bringing it back to the modern era. With Halloween 2018, Star Wars The Force Awakens, and the first Jurassic World. Everyone loves it. The worst you can say about it is it's not very innovative or interesting or new. It's just very sort of like nostalgic. Then the second one comes out, and it's like divisive. Some people hate it. Some people love it. Some people are like, oh, that they changed too much. I don't like the new direction they went in, or it disappointed me in all these ways. And then other people are like, ooh, it seems like it's doing something fresh and setting up for maybe some big things in the next one. And then the third one comes out, and inevitably it seems like nobody likes it. Like it just makes everyone unhappy. Like it satisfies nobody. And it feels like that's the arc that all three of these trilogies go on. And so this is that middle chapter where it's like there's some things I really don't like about it. There's some things I really do like about it. It's kind of divisive, there's my not so short review of it.
Yeah, I came out of the theater feeling pretty positive. We get a lot of good stuff in this film, and I had a lot of fun with it, and I still have a lot of fun with it on the rewatches that I've done for the podcast and before the podcast. So it'll be an interesting conversation to see like what problems we have with the film, and what things we do like about it. I'm sure some of the things we like about it are like we'll have a lot in common, and then I'm sure some of the dislikes or the problems we have with the film, I'm sure those will some of those will be the same as well. But I mean,
Yeah,
I'm generally pretty high on this film, or pretty
and
positive on it.
I'll say this: I think the highs of this movie are higher than 2018, and I think in general, overall, like I kind of, when you get out of like the nostalgia of it, I kind of maybe overall kind of prefer this one, in some ways maybe. So it'll be an interesting discussion for sure.
Yeah, I know. I've heard a lot of fans. They kind of, they don't say that this movie in particular was pointless, but like a middle chapter in this trilogy was kind of unneeded. But I like that we came back to Halloween night with Michael like escaping the fire and everything. Like I like where they went with this one. Was it kind of like a run on like cash grab coming off of 2018? Like yeah, because 2018 made big bucks.
See,
So if you can
yeah.
spread it out into 3 films instead of 2 and make double the
I
money.
see those criticisms of people calling this like the filler movie. It's like, have you seen all three movies? Like, I'm not trying to overplay my hand here, but there's one of these movies that feels like the entire thing is just nothing but absolute fluff made up at the last second. And this actually feels like they were doing something. This movie is one final confrontation away from being a perfect part two to the last one and not even needing three movies. And we'll talk about, the miscarriage later, but, we're talking about Halloween Kills tonight.
Absolutely. So I'll dive right into it. I got some background for you here on Halloween Kills, and then we'll keep on rolling.
Absolutely.
So Halloween Kills is a 2021 American slasher film directed by David Gordon Green and co-written by Green, Danny McBride, and Scott Teems. It is a sequel to the 2018 Halloween and the 12th installment in the Halloween franchise. The film stars Jamie Lee Curtis, Judy Greer, Annie Matichak, Will Patton, Thomas Mann, and Anthony Michael Hall. The film begins on the same night where the previous film ended, with James Jude Courtney reprising his role as Michael Myers, whose presence has become apparent to the residents of Haddonfield. Jason Blum served as producer on the film throughout his Blumhouse Productions banner alongside Malika Cade and Bill Block. Executive producers included Jamie Lee Curtis and John Carpenter, with Carpenter also returning to compose the score with his son Cody Carpenter and Daniel Davies. Before the release of the film, McBride confirmed that he and Green were originally intending to pitch 2 films that would be shot back to back and then decided against it, waiting to see the reaction to the first film in 2018. Following the critical and commercial success of the 2018 film, development on the sequel promptly began as early as October 2018. By February 2019, Teams was hired to co-write the script. The film's title was officially announced in July 2019 along with its sequel, and principal photography began in September 2019 in Wilmington, North Carolina, and concluded in November of the same year. Following a year delay due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Halloween Kills had its world premiere at the 78th Venice International Film Festival on September 8, 2021, and was theatrically released in the United States on October 15, 2021 by Universal Pictures. It also streamed simultaneously on paid tiers of Peacock for about 60 days. The film received mixed reviews from critics who praised the film's brutality, creative kills, score, cinematography, and the performance of the cast, particularly Curtis, Greer, and Matichak, but criticized its screenplay, direction, and plot. Despite this, it was a box office success, and a sequel, Halloween Ends, was released on October 14, 2022. So there is a lot of background on Halloween Kills.
Yeah, that's pretty much the long and short of it. I would even say that the type of things that the critics praised and the kind of things that they didn't praise are quite similar to my own.
Yeah, and I mean, I 100% agree with you on that one. I mean, there's certain things about this that I agree with some of the fans on the problems they have with it, and then I've seen other people just completely say like this is one of the worst in the franchise, and I definitely don't agree with that, but I do have my own personal problems with it. But like you said, I think the highs are way high, and the lows are just to me they're very tedious things.
Mm-hmm. Things like one thing I will have to say, like I'm not one who's big to say the writing in a movie sucked or the dialogue sucked, but it's like after Halloween 2018, they told these filmmakers that they were like profound gifted writers, And there are speeches and lines in this movie that just do not feel right or flowing or impressive at all. And I feel like the people making the movie are like, oh my gosh, this line is genius. This monologue is genius. It's so good. Like, and it's not. It's not.
We don't get any Donald Pleasance, Dr. Loomis wonderfully monologued quotes in this film.
No, we get bangers like "Evil Dies Tonight," said 800 times in the movie by half a dozen different characters and in a dozen different inflections and emphases, and it just it's like a meme unto itself in a really cringy way by the end of it.
I agree. I agree with that. So, I mean, I'll go ahead. We'll knock out a trailer for Halloween Kills. We'll get a plot synopsis read off. And then we'll come back, as always, with our numbers, fun facts, and get into our favorite categories for the film.
Hey, what are you guys doing out here?
It's Halloween. We've been trick-or-treating.
Are you alone?
There's a creepy man in a white mask,
Where?
and he keeps like trying to play hide and seek with us.
Where did you see him? Look! Run! Go home now!
Unlock the door! No! Come on!
We killed Michael.
My grandmother set the fire.
No one told you.
Told me what?
Michael Myers is alive.
A man couldn't have survived that fire. "40 years ago, the boogeyman came for us. We are the survivors of Michael Myers.
Glory, what do we do?
We fight.
Mom,
Our family will kill him.
we're gonna hunt him down and we're gonna put an end to this. He is not gonna stop killing until we stop him.
If you track Michael's victims, that's a straight line to Michael's childhood home. Someone's in our house.
He is coming for me, but I'm coming for him.
You want to kill someone? Take me! Michael!
I want to take his mask off and see the life leave his eyes.
On Halloween night in 2018, after being stabbed and left to die by Dr. Rambir Sartain, Hawkins is found by Cameron Elam, who calls an ambulance. Hawkins regrets allowing Michael to live and vows to kill him. In a flashback to the same night 40 years ago, rookie officer Frank Hawkins accidentally shoots his partner dead while trying to save him from Michael Myers. Hawkins also prevents Dr. Samuel Loomis from executing Michael, who had surrendered to police outside of his home. Meanwhile, at a local bar 40 years later, Tommy Doyle commemorates the 40th anniversary of Michael's capture, along with fellow survivors Marion Chambers, Lindsay Wallace, and Cameron's father, Lonnie Elam, having each survived an encounter with Michael in 1978. Meanwhile, Laurie Strode, her daughter Karen, and her granddaughter Allison are taken to Haddonfield Memorial Hospital, where Laurie undergoes emergency surgery. Firefighters responding to Laurie's burning house encounter Michael, who slaughters them with their own equipment. Michael attacks and kills Laurie's neighbor Phil and critically injures his wife Sandra before walking back to Haddonfield. Tommy, Marion, Lindsay, and Lonnie learn of Michael's killing spree through an emergency alert. Tommy forms a mob of vengeful Haddonfield residents to hunt down and kill Michael. Karen is informed that Michael is still alive and withholds that information from Laurie to allow her to recover, while Allison reconciles with Cameron, her ex-boyfriend, and joins Tommy's mob to avenge her own father's death. While warning the Haddonfield community to stay inside their houses, Marion and bar patrons Vanessa and Marcus are killed by Michael. Lindsay escapes and is found alive by Tommy, Lonnie, Allison, and Cameron. The group map out Michael's path and his victim's location and deduce that he is heading towards his childhood home. Tommy takes Lindsay to the hospital and reunites with former Haddonfield Sheriff Lee Brackett, whose daughter Annie was killed in 1978, and informs Lori about Michael's survival. Across town, Michael murders the current owners of his home, Big John and Little John, as Lori prepares to leave the hospital. Lance Tivoli, a fugitive convict from Smith's Grove Psychiatric Hospital, who escaped alongside Michael when their bus crashed, arrives and is mistaken for Michael. Tommy's mob pursue him through the hospital before Karen realizes that he is not Michael. Despite her attempts to calm the mob and help Lance, he jumps out of a window to his death. Lori urges Karen to work with Tommy and Brackett to hunt Michael down. Elsewhere, Lonnie enters Michael's home alone and is killed. Allison and Cameron rush inside and find his corpse before being attacked by Michael, who murders Cameron. As Michael prepares to kill Allison, Karen appears and stabs him in the back with a pitchfork, steals his mask, and taunts him to follow her. She leads Michael into Tommy's mob, who seemingly kill him. When the mob drops their guard, believing Michael dead, he awakens and massacres the entire mob, including Tommy and Brackett. Back at the Myers house, Karen sees a vision of a young Michael in Judith Myers' old bedroom and goes upstairs to investigate. Michael appears and stabs Karen to death as Lori stares out of her hospital room.
All right, how about I knock out some numbers here for you?
Sounds good.
So Halloween Kills had a budget of $20 million, and it grossed $133.4 million in theaters. So what is that just a couple years later here?
Yeah, it's sad, but a couple years later, that would be a $23.8 million budget and a $159 million box office take. It's a shame that 4 years later, not even 4 years later, the budget would be almost $4 million higher, and the box office would be $25 million higher.
Yeah, that's insane. I was thinking around maybe like 2.5 million, not 4 million. So it got me a little bit.
Yeah, it's been a rough couple of years.
for everybody who's not a millionaire.
For the value of the dollar.
Yeah, no kidding. So Halloween Kills has a 5.5 out of 10 rating on IMDb, a 39% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, 42% rating on Metacritic, and 66% of Google users liked this film. So this is one film for our Google users that is under that 75% threshold for Chris.
Yeah.
66%. I mean, clearly the Halloween fans are mixed on this, but I think this is a pretty solid Halloween film. I mean, you get a lot of Michael, you get a lot of kills. I mean, what more do you want besides people complaining about the evil dies tonight?
I think generally it's like the things that it doesn't do well. Yes, they're rough, but God, what was I gonna say? It's generally still like a above average Halloween movie, and honestly, like I know we're kind of like at the beginning of the podcast here, but like I would prefer that this had been the last Halloween movie and we never got the resolution to whatever this was than the resolution we got. And I'll just say that.
I don't want to spill too much, but yeah, this is I was definitely excited coming off of this one for the last chapter in the trilogy.
Yeah, and you can tell that with the original ending of like the extended edition, that the original intent for this trilogy was that it was all going to transpire over one night. But after this movie, you feel like the only thing left to happen is for Lori to go to Michael's house and for them to have their final confrontation. You know, that's another. It's like this movie could have just been 20 minutes longer and you know, arrived at a resolution to it, because it felt like they were wrapping up all the loose ends. Like, I love the flashback at the beginning of like, we'll get into it.
Well, let me give you our last two numbers here for you, and then we'll run on to some fun facts. So Michael Myers is on screen for roughly 13 minutes and 10 seconds, or about 12.2% of the film. And there are 30 deaths in this film, averaging out to one every 3.5 minutes. So this one knocks our kill count out of the park.
Yeah, it's absolutely like It's definitely like a Michael movie. It's like Michael being like, you know, where it's turning that corner of like we're rooting for Michael in a weird way, you know, and it's like this is definitely one of those kind of movies.
I loved it. I loved everything about everything we got for Michael on screen in this film, and James Jude Courtney comes back in a phenomenal way in this.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So I'll knock out some fun facts before we get into our favorites categories on the film. So my first one for you here is Jamie Lee Curtis, Charles Cyphers, Kyle Richards, Nancy Stevens, and Nick Castle were all in the original Halloween 1978, and they all returned for this sequel. The characters of Tommy Doyle and Lonnie Elam from the original also returned, but were recast with Anthony Michael Hall and Robert Longstreet portraying them.
Yeah, I think it was a great thing. Like you can see where that two film vision came from of like if this would is originally conceived as something of a third chapter including the original movie, you could see where it's like, oh, they bring it all full circle by bringing back all of these other characters. And it's like, I wish that this movie could have spent less time on escaped inmate hospital subplots and more time on some of these returning characters actually being a little more than just cameos, but you know, whichever.
Yeah, I love that they bring back the characters. Like when I was in theaters and I first saw like Sheriff Brackett, I was super excited for that because I mean he hasn't been in a film since the little bit he was in Halloween 2, and then like just to see like the Nurse Marion come back as she did in Halloween 2 and then in Halloween H2O. And clearly this is a different timeline. So we're able to get her back and get Lindsay back. And it was just fun for them to be able to do that and bring all those characters back of Tommy and just everyone that is in the film.
Agreed.
So in the flashback scene to 1978, Michael attacks Deputy McCabe with a rope. And in the original Halloween, Sheriff Lee Brackett responds to an alarm in a hardware store and reported that a rope, some Halloween masks, and a set of knives were stolen. So I liked that connection there too. Like, cause I caught that in the flashback scene. I was like, oh, I'm that nerd that's like, oh, they said he stole, you know, a rope from the hardware store as well. And so that was fun for me to see.
The rope that he used to hang Rob upside down in the house in the original, in theory.
Oh yeah. I didn't make that connection. I didn't add that up.
Yeah. Now who's the really observant one?
I know. So there are 12 pumpkins that are featured in the opening title sequence, with the last one indicating Halloween Kills as the 12th Halloween film. So I'm sure we'll mention those opening credits, but I liked those, and I liked the new Halloween score for that as well.
Yeah, very cool and inventive opening credits. I really dig that. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. So in the opening of the film, Laurie Strode screams to the fire trucks to let it burn as they head towards her house. This is based on a deleted scene from Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers from 1988, where a flashback to the end of Halloween 2 shows Dr. Loomis pleading with paramedics to let him burn after blowing up the operating room, only to be ignored.
Yeah, makes me wonder if that scene was filmed or if it was just in the script and never shot, because that would be an awesome scene to see, even as like a deleted scene with bad quality footage. It would be nice, you know, every second of Donald Pleasance's Loomis that we could get would be cool.
Absolutely, and I think it would have been a cool ending to actually be the ending of Halloween 2, where Donald Pleasance is kind of pleading with the paramedics and like the fire department. So I think that could have been a different ending for us to see, and a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
So Ross Bacon, who played uncredited mental patient named Tivoli in both Halloween 2018 and this film, sadly passed away before the release of this sequel.
That's sad. That's unfortunate.
And I wanted to go in, like right here. I wanted to stop and say like this is where I was going to go on my rant about that in the hospital. Like, how do you not know that this isn't Michael Myers who you're chasing? And like it was such a sad scene to see this guy. He's scared running through the hospital, and it drove me nuts while I was watching it that the people in the hospital thought this was Michael Myers, and like they were chasing him like he was Michael Myers, and it ended up, you know, coming down to him jumping out of the window and kind of committing like suicide or killing himself. And it was just one of those scenes where I was like, was that really needed or was that necessary to do that? Like you kind of just made the folk of Haddonfield seem really unintelligent.
It felt like the movie was trying to say something profound about mob rage or following uninformed leaders or something. Like, we're being so deep and making such a point, like the rage and the evils consume them, but all it really does is just make them all look like absolute idiots. The idea that like scene after scene of like them not like they can't be convinced by anyone and can't understand from anyone that that's not Michael. Like they're that irrational. Like you're not proving a point that it's like, oh, this is how people really are. It's like, no, you're just making these characters seem irrationally stupid. And it's a pointless subplot. It's poorly executed. Rest in peace to that gentleman who played that character, apparently uncredited as well, which is very unfortunate. Everyone should be credited. It's a pretty relatively pivotal role in the movie in some regards, so that's a shame. But like, it's a bad plot element of this film without a doubt.
Absolutely. I just wanted to go on my little rant about that because I do appreciate, the little bit that he's in this film. I think he does a fine job for being uncredited in the film.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that actor at all. It's the stupid subplot they put him in.
Exactly. So Kyle Richards, who played Lindsay Wallace, broke her nose filming the fight scene with Michael, and she didn't tell the crew about it until later, wanting to finish filming the scene herself.
I mean, credit to her for being such an absolute gangster about it, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm breaking my nose and I'm like sitting here fighting through the scene. I'm probably gonna be like, oh shit, you just broke my nose. Like
you'd find out from me pretty much as soon as it happened. I'd be like,
yeah,
hey, I think my nose is broke.
Yeah, I'm gonna be in shock about it.
Yeah, time out.
For rehearsals, when Michael Myers kills the firefighters, since Michael is blind in one eye due to Laurie stabbing him in the eye with a clothes hanger, James Jude Courtney wore an eye patch for authenticity.
Very nice.
Again, taking it the extra mile for Michael Myers is James Jude Courtney.
Yeah, 100%.
My next one for you here is when musing on how Michael seemingly becomes more powerful the more fear he instills, Laurie uses the phrase, "the true curse of Michael," which recalls the sixth film's subtitle, "The Curse of Michael Myers."
Yes, because we're at the point now where people have nostalgic love for the Curse of Michael Myers, and so they got to be like, oh, shout out to Curse of Michael Myers. I get it, I like it. It's like, it's like, does every movie in this franchise like warrant like nostalgic love?
I love all the callbacks that these films do, but when she said that, I kind of cringed a little bit, but I've grown to appreciate it.
There's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of dialogue in this movie written in ways that it's like kind of like, it feels kind of like weirdly sloppy or pretentious or cringy. It's like, people don't talk like this, and I don't think these characters would talk like this either. Like, they're trying to be profound, and it's like if you're not Sam Loomis and you're not Donald Pleasance, you do not try to give them Sam Loomis and Donald Pleasance dialogue, because he could make that sort of stuff work in a way that he sold it. When these other characters start talking about like evil and curses and the power of Michael, it just sounds insincere.
I can agree with that because like you said, there's a couple lines in here that made me kind of cringe or like, I don't really like that, and like that was one of them. I've grown to appreciate it for I knew that they were kind of doing the fan service thing with that and a little nod to that film, so I kind of grew to get over that and kind of pass that bug in me. So I just thought I would mention that here and throw it in there.
Yeah, that's fair.
Here's something that really would have made Chris cringe, and it's Busta Rhymes, who was in Halloween Resurrection, was almost included in the film, but ended up being scrapped.
Oh gosh, that almost would have been fun. In 2021, it would have been like an ironic kind of like fun thing. Like, it's not his fault that movie. It's like he took a job. It's not like Busta Rhymes was like a producer on the movie and cast himself in it and made himself the hero. It's like the filmmakers of that leaned into that, like, so Like, I would have been perfectly fine if they threw him a cameo in this movie, even if it was in like something obscure, like they flip on the radio and there's a Busta Rhymes song on the radio. Even that would have been like a fun little, like, oh yeah, this franchise has a history with Busta Rhymes, you know?
Yeah, I didn't really like that when I read it, but now you saying that, like giving him a small cameo or something like that, that wouldn't have been terrible. It would have been fun for the fans.
I mean, it's not like that. It's not like I'm advocating that he should have had like the Tommy Doyle role or anything. It's like, what harm would it have done if he was like a guy at the bar or something like that? Like, people want to be like, oh my god, no Busta. It's like it wouldn't have. It would have been pretty inconsequential either way, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's something you spoke on a little earlier, and it's the phrase "evil dies tonight" is said exactly 29 times in the film.
Gosh, if you'd asked me to realistically guess what the number was, like the joke is like, man, it's like they said it like 50 times, but realistically, I would have been like, I think like probably like 15 to 20 times. The fact that it's 29 is ridiculous.
So you're talking roughly, I mean, a little bit faster than every 4 minutes, maybe every 3.5 minutes.
Don't do the math on us. Yeah, what's the movie without credits? Because if you lop the credits off, it's even worse, I'm sure. The credits are roughly like 8 to 10 minutes. Like, good God, man. And I know a lot of that's when they're like repeating it over and over, but it's like that only adds insult to injury when they're repeating it. It's like the line in and of itself is like, they should say it once. That's all it should be said. And like they made it like the slogan of the movie, and it's really annoying.
Well, when you're repeating it, like at the hospital, they say it 10 or 12 times in like a 5-minute span. So that right there drives me. Even when I watch it now, I get irritated with the evil dies tonight, like the love lives today.
I think the first time when I first saw it in theaters, and like there's one character who says it, and then the first time it was repeated after that, I was like, okay, that was kind of cringy. And then it became the freaking slogan of the movie. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, it's almost hilarious how much they were like, did someone say like when they were writing the script where someone was like evil dies tonight, they're like, oh my gosh, that's gold. Like, that's our ticket to $1 billion. And they're just like, we got to say it as many times as possible because it's such an awesome line. It's like, no, dude. Like, no.
We gotta somewhere out there has to be a better catchphrase than that for a Halloween film.
Yeah.
All right, I got 3 more for you here. And my next one is, this is the 3rd Halloween movie in which Michael is shown to have been burnt in a fire, the first being Halloween 2 and the second one being Halloween Resurrection.
Yeah, and it's becoming a bit of a trend here because it's always the sort of second entry of these sort of arcs. Like you have the original Halloween, and then in the sequel there's fire, and then you have like the original H2O, and in the sequel there's a fiery thing. And I mean, this one, Halloween 2018, had it at the end of that one, but then also in the sequel here there's fiery stuff going on.
Exactly. Michael defends himself against a shotgun blast from Allison by deflecting the barrel on the 2nd floor near the top of the stairs in his old house. This is similar to the way Michael defended himself from Brady trying to shoot him in Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, where he deflected the barrel of the shotgun on the 2nd floor of Sheriff Meeker's house. So that was I don't know if that was purposely a callback or something like that, but fans seem to think so. Yeah. Take 2 steps back, idiot, then reload. At least she didn't do something like that, you know. She fires.
No, she's got main character syndrome, so she can't they can't kill her off.
She can't be too dumb.
Yeah. Or her stupidity can never cost her,
Yeah.
Only the lives of others.
My last one for you here is that Paul Rudd was offered to reprise his Tommy Doyle character, but due to scheduling conflicts with Ghostbusters Afterlife, he had to decline.
Well, I'm not here to defend the quality of choosing something like Ghostbusters Afterlife, but I would not have been very thrilled to see Paul Rudd in the role of Tommy Doyle as it is written in this movie. Now, perhaps Paul Rudd being involved and getting on board with it might have been able to use a bit of not necessarily star power and influence, but maybe just by presence of being there and in the conversations and reading the script and having his own input and his own improv, might have massaged things a little bit to make it a little better. I don't totally hate the Tommy Doyle role in this movie, but I do not walk away from this movie being like, oh man, if only Paul Rudd was that guy. No, I don't get that sense.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I don't. I guess the Tommy character in this movie, I wouldn't have really
It
cared either
doesn't.
way who
It
they
doesn't
went
feel
with.
terribly. It doesn't even feel terribly connected or like. Yes, it's only the last time we saw him was just a kid, but it just doesn't feel like. It just feels like a guy they named Tommy Doyle. It doesn't feel like Tommy Doyle very much to me.
Yeah, like in these, it feels like Lori has a connection to that night. It kind of feels like Lindsay has a connection to that night, and Tommy was just there. Like, it doesn't seem like it affected him like the other characters in the
Yeah,
film.
it's like they had this role and they were like, well, let's name it Tommy Doyle because that will make a connection to the first movie.
Exactly. Doing fan service, bringing characters back.
Yeah, and yeah, and I also like while we're kind of on this note is I think a lot of the characters like the whole idea of like revisiting 40 years later, but like the only note they seem to be able to hit is like, oh, all of those characters who were young or alive or survived the original or were kids in the original or what have you, they're all just like a bunch of middle-aged kind of like losers now. Like, and I'm not trying to be mean or whatever, but it's like they all just kind of like hanging out at a bar and getting drunk. Like, okay, so like Lori became a recluse and like that's kind of interesting, but like Brackett is still like the sheriff 40 years later, and then everyone else is just like, oh, they're all just like getting boozed up on Halloween at a bar. Like it feels like that's really what like they all amounted to is like they're all kind of just like a bunch of like nobodies. Like there's like nothing, like none of them have families, none of them like did any like it's just like you're like you just hit the pause button and be like turn the trauma that they all experienced that night forward by 40 years and then hit the unpause button and they're like not allowed to be different or progress or unique in any kind of way, which is like I don't know, it's a weird approach to bring back so many of the characters, and it's like, yeah, these 5 that we're bringing back are all just going to be like middle-aged people hanging out at a bar. Like, okay, that's the extent of the exploration of what they're like 40 years later. I don't know.
That one night must have had a really big toll on them. So I don't.
A biblical scar on all of them, I guess.
We see what it did to Lori, so
yeah, like good lord.
Clearly, at least the rest of the cast isn't as bad.
You would have thought that Michael Myers killed like a third of the town's population that night or something. Like the way that some of these people like, and I'm not trying to trivialize it and being like, oh, 40 years later, get over it. But I mean, this is a movie. Like sometimes the most realistic version of the portrayal of the trauma might not necessarily be the most engaging or appropriate for a movie. That's all.
Well, I agree with that because they have lines in the film like that are, Michael Myers has terrorized. This might not be the actual quote, but it haunted or terrorized this town for 40 years, and it's like, really? Because I'm sure after that night, most people just went on with their lives.
Yeah, and yeah, plenty of them were probably like they never saw it, never knew it, didn't know the people who were killed or whatever. And like again, it's like the movie is leaning into the idea that it is film number 12 and that all of the trauma and deaths and murder of the previous 12 movies have all happened, but it's just like not in continuity with them. Like the film's leaning into it like it's like again, like all of it happened somehow, or all of the deaths happened, or that Michael's come back every year, every Halloween, and has always messed people up. It's like you're really kind of like putting more on it. Like that original night, like what is it, like 5 people that get killed, something like that, in the original night? Like, yeah, that's awful. Like in my hometown, if like 5 people were murdered in one night, like that would be like horrifying and terrible. But it's like, but especially, and it'd be one thing if like, oh, the killer got away, so it was like this horrifying mystery that haunts us. But it's like he was apprehended and locked up, and it's like again, 10 years later, 5 years later, but like 40 years later, that's going to be like the only thing about this town that's like anybody. Like, I don't know, man. Like maybe I'm being callous, but it just feels very extreme. It feels like the most extreme thing possible. I don't know.
Well, and I don't mean to compare this to like a movie or anything, but like it would be like
I mean, it is
like Jeffrey Dahmer or like Gacy or something, like 40 years later, like people aren't acting like this. Like
like I'm sure even the people that were like in the main towns of what it happened to, like you're talking about multiple generations later, and like yes, I know the older generations would remember it in a way that the younger generations don't, but it's like good, like it just feels like excessive, it feels laid on thick.
exactly. Not to go on a little tangent there, but had to get some things out.
Yeah, it's committing some of the same problems that 2018 committed.
Well, that is all I have for you for fun facts. Would you like to knock out who your favorite character was in Halloween Kills?
Yeah, so I mean, there's not a whole lot of characters that I really like in this movie. So I mean, I'd actually would say, despite the limited role that like does nothing, like I actually like Officer Hawkins. I thought his flashback scene in the beginning of the movie was actually like a really compelling kind of thing. And that's one of the best scenes in the movie, by the way, when they flash back to 1978. I could watch a whole Halloween sequel set retro like that in 1978 on that same night, like an alternate edition of the rest of that night. Like you wouldn't even necessarily have to have Loomis or Laurie in it. It just exploring Michael in other parts of the town doing other things. Like you could have eased like that. Like there was so much juice in that opening, in that flashback scene. It's like, oh my gosh, like this is like better, like almost better than anything in 2018. And it's like, and like, the Hawkins backstory and stuff like that it's like he should have let Loomis kill Michael. He accidentally shot his partner, that whole thing. Like that's like kind of some of the most compelling stuff in this movie for me.
I definitely I have a weak spot for that that flashback scene, because that is like nostalgia like 101, and they did a very good job recreating everything to make it look like the color scheme and like the mask of the original film, and like the way they used one of their like set, I can't remember if he was like a set designer or special effects guy to bring Dr. Loomis back alive, and
Mm-hmm.
it was super well done. So I definitely
Using the ancient tactics of finding a look-alike instead of having to use a bajillion dollars of crappy deep fake de-aging CGI or something weird like that. It's like, let's just see if we can find someone who just really really looks like Donald Pleasance, and then use proper makeup and lighting to try and make him look as close as possible. It's like people aren't dumb. Like no one in 2021 is going to be like, why doesn't Loomis look the same? This doesn't make any sense. It's like, yeah, it's like 40 years later they're making the movie. Like, yeah, so it's a really cool thing that they did to have Loomis in there. And for the eagle-eyed viewers who are fans of the MonsterVerse, a certain actor named Thomas Mann, who had a role in Kong Skull Island as one of the soldiers, plays the young Hawkins in this movie, and I thought that was a very cool thing.
absolutely. So you went with Officer Hawkins. I had a fun time. I mean, these aren't my favorite characters. I just wanted to shout them out with Big John and Little John gave me a good laugh. I had fun when they were on camera.
Yeah, they were not boring, that's for sure.
Not at all. I thought they were fun in this film. But for favorite character, I went with Allison. And I kind of
crushing default.
Kind of, because just like Halloween,
everyone else in this movie sucks. That's why.
Like Laurie Strode is trapped in a hospital again, just like the second Halloween film of the original timeline.
Only so somehow even less to do in this movie.
Yeah, so that annoyed me. I was just like, oh, I'm here to see Laurie Strode fight Michael Myers or something. Like, get her out of the hospital. I get that she was stabbed, so you can't really do much with her. So it's like, okay, let bygones be bygones.
When you're changing your 2-film project into a potential 3-film project, and you're at the impasse of, is Laurie going to spend the entire second movie in a hospital? That's when you say, okay, maybe this shouldn't be a 3-film project. Maybe we should wrap this up in 2 movies like we originally planned.
Exactly. So I mean, like you said, there isn't a lot of characterization to choose from in this one, but I did like Allison, how her and like Cameron kind of reconcile, and they go on this hunt for Michael Myers, and she kind of takes the lead, and like she kind of turns into like a badass in this film. And like, you know, Michael killed her dad in the last film, so she's out for revenge, trying to take revenge for that death. And I just like that she goes like head to head with Michael, and even after he throws her down the stairs and she snaps her leg, like she's trying to stab him and give it her all. And I just kind of like that she kind of turned into a badass in this one.
Yeah, fair enough.
So for favorite score, there was I love the entire score for this.
Tell me I get to go first on this.
Oh,
please. Or did I go first on characters? So
you
get to go first on this.
You can absolutely go first if you'd like to.
All right, my favorite, like, it is a great score. There's a plenty of tracks that you could choose, but I'm even going to tell you where to play this song from when you cut it in. But the track Payback at 1 minute and 15 seconds it lines up with Michael picking up his mask off of the ground as he's surrounded by the mob. And that is like a cinematic moment for me. Like, say what you want about this movie, good, bad, highs, lows, whatever, but like, that is an epic Michael Myers moment, and I'll never forget it. My younger brother in the theater, you know, there's a famous line from a Captain America movie when he's about to get jumped by a group of people. My younger brother, he's got a sharp tongue when he wants to, and he kind of, right before the mob engaged with Michael, as Michael was putting his mask on, he leans over and he goes, "Before we get started, does anyone want to leave?" Which is quoting a Captain America line from one of his movies. And that was just the perfect moment, because it's like, yeah, you guys might get your licks in, but like, Michael Myers is about to end all of you.
And that pretty much goes off what I was just going to say about that score, because that was one of two that I picked for this film. And that is the exact point that I was going to mention it as well. Right when he picks his mask up, like, you can see him look at everyone before he picks it up. And it's like, he leans over and picks it up, no problem. Pretty much like, all right, you guys want to do this? Let's go. Like, that would have been the exact point I would have rethought this and been like, nah, I'm good. He's willing to take on 15 or 20 of us by himself. I'm going to get out of here.
Yes, I will paraphrase a much more obscure line of dialogue from a much more obscure source, not a famous movie, but there is in the Star Wars world, there was a comic book called Vader Down, and it's a scene where Darth Vader crashes on a ship or crashes on a planet, and he gets surrounded by a bunch of rebels, the good guys. And I'm going off memory here, so if it's not an exact quote, don't shoot me. But the line that is exchanged is something to the effect of, "Vader, we have you surrounded." And his line back is something to the effect of, "The only thing I'm surrounded by is fear and dead men." And that's exactly what I feel like Michael was thinking in that moment when he was surrounded by all of the townsfolk of Haddonfield.
Well, I screen recorded one time. I was at the gym. I screen recorded that. And the part from when he picks his mask up, puts it on, and looks at everyone. And I was like, this is how I look at my legs on leg day, like getting ready to kill him.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, gosh.
The other one I wanted to mention was Unkillable. And that when Allison and Cameron are in the Myers house and Michael kind of breaks out of the closet and starts attacking them, that whole scene and like score right there through all the way through to when that Karen stabs Michael with the pitchfork, that and Payback are just the two standout tracks of this film for me. And this is one of my favorite scores from Carpenter, and probably one of my favorite scores in the franchise and a horror film altogether. That he knocks this one out.
Absolutely. That is one of the nice things about these new Halloween movies is bringing Carpenter back in a way where he gets to compose and be involved in the movies in something beyond just a sort of ceremonial producer credit or something.
Exactly, and like David Gordon Green had quoted that he was nervous after the 2018 film to kind of show Carpenter this one, like have him like watch it while he's scoring it and stuff. And I mean, it seemed like Carpenter liked the film, and like I said, he knocked this score out of the park and did a great job.
Sometimes in this trilogy, it feels like Carpenter is the one trying the hardest out of everyone involved.
Yeah, I mean, there's some of this music is amazing for a horror film. I will give him that.
As they say sometimes, like he locked in for these scores, as they say.
Man, he definitely made a comeback.
Yeah.
So I'll give you my favorite quote from the film, and I mean, I went with "Evil dies to." No, I'm just kidding. I went with a quote from Laurie Strode, and it was her monologue about Michael. I just like how it encompassed the scene, and it's her saying, "I always thought Michael Myers was flesh and blood, just like you and me, but a mortal man could not have survived what he's lived through. The more he kills, the more he transcends into something else impossible to defeat. Fear. People are afraid. That is the true curse of Michael. You can't defeat it with brute force. It is the essence of evil, the anchor that divides us. It is the terror that grows stronger when we try to hide. If they don't stop him tonight, maybe we'll find him tomorrow or next Halloween when the sun sets and someone is alone. You can't close your eyes and pretend he isn't there, because he is." And I just, it was one of those quotes where it's over like slow piano music, and it was just after the mob scene had fought Michael, and it just kicks in. I don't know. It kind of one of those quotes that kind of gives you chills because like Laurie Strode, like Jamie Lee Curtis is delivering it. So I thought that was an awesome quote from her, and it was very well read, and the music surrounding it and the scene was very well done in the film.
Yeah, like they were trying to ascend her to that Loomis type of role.
Exactly. I mean, she's not quite there, but I thought it was very well done.
Yeah. My favorite line that I had is we'll call it a Loomis-esque line, but it's a bit of a short and sweet one, and it's Officer Hawkins talking about Michael Myers, and he says, "There's nothing in that man but pure evil." It's like nice, short, sweet, to the point, and takes you back to old school Halloween.
Absolutely. And I mean, this is one of those films to me that there wasn't a lot for me to choose from. There were some funny lines of dialogue here and there, but there wasn't a whole lot to choose from in this film for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Agreed. There was, and again, dishonorable mention to "Evil dies tonight." I would have, if I had managed to make it to this point in the episode without bringing that up, it would have been brought up here.
So since you went first for character and score, I'll do scene, and then I'll let you go first on favorite kill or death. I had a couple for scene, and then I had a couple or two that I wanted to mention for kill. So my absolute favorite scene was this is tough. I liked Michael going against the mob when before he starts killing everyone, when they're kind of getting the better of him, and it's like there's a point in that again where I would have been like, nope, I'm done, I'm walking away, and it's when the guy Michael cuts the guy's wrist who has the gun, and the guy gets the gun back up pointed at Michael, and he shoots him 5 times, and Michael Myers rolls over onto his stomach and tries to get up. That is the point in this movie where I'm like, all right, see you later, I'm gone. You just shot this man 5 times in the chest from maybe 5-6 feet away, and he rolled over and tried to get up. No thanks, not for me.
Yeah, I mean, just in general, like, when when it's like 5 minutes into the beating and no one's delivered a headshot, I'd be like, you guys as a mob are clearly not in this to win this, and I'm gonna leave. Because like they have every opportunity to, like, how is hitting the head, kicking the head, stomping the head, shooting the head, like head, neck, face, how are those not your primary targets once you have, 30 people teaming up on Michael Myers? It's like that was not a well organized attack. They all just kind of went rando on him. And but that is also one of my favorite scenes in the movie. It's Michael versus the mob, and also the flashback scene to 1978 at the beginning. Those are two excellent sequences, and I love them very much.
Well, another one I wanted to mention was, of course, Michael against the firefighters. Him rising and walking out of the house with the burning house in the background, and it's such a subtle score that we get as he's walking out of the house like that. In Chris's words, that is pure cinema. Like that's probably the best shot in the film.
Indeed.
So, what was your favorite kill or death scene in the film?
So I think I have perhaps two. I mean, Michael versus the mob doesn't count. That's like a group of kills. But for like a short, cool, fun, inventive one, like I always really liked the moment where Michael swings the door open and hits the woman who's got a gun in her hand and forces her to shoot herself. As ridiculous as that is, it does feel like the kind of thing that would happen if someone who is maybe not well trained in firearms got one and adrenaline was high and Michael did something unexpected. Like just the absurdity of it. It's like that one gets points for creativity. And Michael killing someone with a gun that he never touches. And then but in terms of sort of like impact, and one that I generally would not have called because it felt like this was a character who had plot armor, was Michael killing Karen at the end and stabbing her to death. That was like something I honestly didn't genuinely expect. And it's filmed in a way that is an homage to a famous kill with a knife from the movie Psycho, which is the origin point for the name of Dr. Samuel Loomis. There's a character named Sam Loomis in Psycho, and even you could argue like the murders with the big kitchen knife is a Psycho nod, So the fact that they filmed Karen's death with like camera angles and editing that matched a lot of how a famous death was done in Psycho is also a very, very cool piece of trivia and connection to that movie. So that death scene was satisfying and shocking in terms of the narrative, but also satisfying in terms of the sort of cinematic reference it was making.
And also satisfying that he killed that character.
Yeah, I can't say that Karen is one of the characters that I loved the most in these movies. So
she drove me absolutely bonkers in this film with he's coming here and like hounding the security guards and police officers, like you need to get more people here and
protect my mother. We need to protect my mother. Yeah.
I was going bonkers, and when she died, it was like I don't know if I like lifted my arms up and looked to the sky like you did it, like you did me a favor. Or
score from Michael. Couldn't have asked for a better ending to the movie.
So it made me think like, all right, like we're getting this great revenge story, and Halloween ends. Laurie's coming, she's coming out to battle, and we'll talk about that when we get there. But I'll give you my favorite kill of the film. I kind of had a two-way tie. One for being like super brutal, and then one for kind of being like a long drawn out kill, like. But my first one that I chose was Big John, how he gets stabbed in the armpit from behind, and just thinking about that, like that clearly can't feel good whatsoever. I've never really seen somebody get stabbed in the armpit in a movie, I don't think. And then he just gets it, Michael's thumbs just straight through his eyes, plucking his eyes out, and it's to me one of the more brutal kills in the film, and probably when I pick these kills, I try to pick something that like I would like least want to experience, and that is one of the ones in this films that I would never want to have to experience something like that, and it's just a super brutal kill.
Indeed.
The second one I wanted to mention was just Cameron, for how drawn out it is, and just Michael's just giving him a beating, and then he finally, as he walks down the stairs, like turns slowly and breaks his neck. I was just like, God, that is brutal, but an awesome kill for the film. So I wanted to shout out that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that is all for our favorites category for this film. Would you like to dive into what you thought of the Michael portrayal and mask in this film?
I think it was good. I think Michael was like, the movie gets into a weird kind of territory where it's like, are you rooting for Michael as like oh, he's badass kind of a thing? Like the movie dabbles into that a little bit, so then it kind of like undercuts like the horror aspect of it. But like, at this point, 12 movies in, like part of what you're paying to see is to see Michael kind of like destroy people and kill people in brutal and inventive ways and kind of be unstoppable. So it's like, what are you gonna do? Damned if you do, damned if you don't, I suppose. But I thought it was, I thought he was very Jason-esque in this movie, especially in that opening scene with the firefighters, like just very like extremely powerful and brutal and unstoppable. It felt like the kind of sequence Jason would have in one of his movies, but I can't say that I'm complaining.
No, not at all. I think James Jude Courtney did. I think this is probably his best portrayal out of the three films that we get from him. And I think he turns it up a notch in this one. And they clearly take the brutality and the kills up in this one. And I love the burnt look of the mask. And that first shot that we get of him coming out of the gun locker when we see that the mask is burnt and with the flames in the background. I think that's another phenomenal shot in this film as well. But just the look with the burnt mask, and he seems more pissed off in this one. He's walking faster, he's more aggressive. So I think this version of Michael and the portrayal was definitely a step up from 2018 and one of the better ones in the franchise.
Agreed.
So here's where we get a little dicey, and Chris, I'm gonna let you go first because we loved both of our favorites from the Friday the 13th franchise is the 2009 remake or reboot. So we are going into our comparison for Halloween Kills against the Friday the 13th 2009 reboot. So where do you lean for this one?
Oh, Friday the 13th, 2009 absolutely crushes Halloween Kills for me. I mean, I don't know if that's shocking or controversial, but like I would watch that movie in a heartbeat over this one.
Okay, I didn't think it would be that easy for you.
To me that's a very like maybe I love that movie too much, but like there's a lot of divisive things about this movie that I don't like. There's a lot about this movie I do like, but for me, like Friday the 13th '09, like I would pick that over probably a lot of Halloween movies.
I can respect that, and I think it's very very hard for me.
Is Halloween Kills better than your favorite Friday the 13th movie?
I mean, no.
There you go.
I know. I mean, the brutality of Michael Myers in this one kind of wins it for me, but everything else in Friday the 13th 2009 is better. I mean, I can't knock the portrayal of Jason by Derek Mears at all. I mean, he's my favorite, probably my favorite portrayal of Jason, and that film I think just knocked it out of the park for being a remake. And but so I mean, I am leaning towards the Friday the 13th 2009. It's a little harder for me than it might be for some other people because I really did like
I
Halloween
mean, how do
Kills.
you square that that you have some Halloween movies over some Friday the 13th movies, some Friday the 13th over some Halloweens, but that this Halloween movie, which I think is nobody's favorite Halloween movie, is somehow better than your very favorite Friday the 13th movie in terms of your preference? Like it can't be, right?
No, and I know I when
You just don't want to say it.
the portrayal of Michael Myers and the kills is what makes this one hard. Like I said, everything else I lean towards Friday the 13th. But I mean, Derek Mears and like James Jude Courtney, like the kills and things like that are like those two are like neck and neck. Like they both do a great job. They both portray the character phenomenally. But I mean, I will say I told myself even on the rewatch and everything like that that Friday the 13th 2009 is the superior film. And I mean, I'm kind of being a little nice to Halloween Kills right now.
I know it might be a tough truth to accept, but Search your feelings.
Well, Friday the 13th right now for me through our 12 films is leading 7-5. As I've said, Michael Myers is my favorite slasher or horror icon, but I like the Friday the 13th films more as a whole, and clearly them being 7 out of the 12, me voting Friday the 13th being better 7 times out of the 12 films says that. And I mean, on our next one, we have Halloween Ends, which is our 13th Halloween film, and we don't have a 13th Friday the 13th film unless we were to go off like a fan film or something like that. So I mean,
here's we'll talk about that on the next episode. I don't want to spoil a good gag before we get there.
Okay. I don't know what he has up his sleeve here, so I'm
Yeah,
curious.
you don't know what I'm getting at here.
I do not. So before we get out of here, why don't we go ahead and why don't you rattle off some final thoughts for me, and then I'll lead us on our way out of here after my final thoughts.
Yeah, Halloween Kills, perhaps when you should maybe just accept the kind of Michael wins ending and maybe proceed no further in the franchise. Accept that it's always going to have this kind of unresolved. Michael killed Laurie's daughter and kind of won, so to speak, and maybe their battle will never really be resolved or ended, and maybe that's where it should end. It's got flaws. It's far from perfect. It's got a lot of really great sequences, a lot of really, really great ideas in it, a lot of great kills, a lot of great Michael stuff. Pretty much all the Michael stuff itself is pretty much great. Some of the other stuff that's not Michael, disappointingly, a lot of the Laurie stuff and the hospital stuff in general is like some of the weakest stuff in the movie. It almost makes you wish this franchise wasn't about Laurie anymore, if this is what it has to be to maintain being about Laurie. But flawed, but very, very, very fun. And in some ways, maybe a little better than 2018. In some ways, not as polished and not as well handled, but in other ways, kind of more satisfying. So take of that what you will.
Yeah, I like this film, and I mean, I loved it when it came out, and I mean, on my rewatches, it's kind of certain things in it are hit or miss for me. So it's kind of I go from watch to watch on how much I really like it, and then one watch, certain things will bug me a little more than they did last time. And I mean, I like getting Laurie back. I hate that she's in a hospital again for the entire film. I like the mob mentality against Michael Myers, but the evil dies tonight does kind of drive me a little crazy on certain watches of the film. But yeah, I try to let it go a little bit, but 29 times it gets to me, like 15 of them.
Yeah, after about 10, I think I'm tapped out.
But I like James Jude Courtney. I like that we get back a lot of the characters from the first film, and especially the same characters playing those characters from the first film 40 years later. And I like the kills. I like Michael, and it's a fun film. It's we'll see where it ranks come when we do our franchise ranking of all 13 Halloween films. But I have fun with it when I watch it, and it's just a good time. I mean, it's one of those Halloween films that fans are mixed on, but the people who like it a lot, and the people who don't like it, again, they don't like it a lot. It's not really, there's not really fans that you hear say like I'm like 50-50 on the film. It's either they like it or they don't, and I'm one of the ones that does.
Yeah, I like it, but I can kind of agree that in some ways I'm kind of 50-50 on it, because there's about half of it that I think is really kind of dumb, and half of it that I think is actually really cool. So I get it. I get the people that hate it and the people that love it, because it's the same things that I hate and love about it myself. And yeah, like Star Wars The Last Jedi, like Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, it's sort of the divisive middle chapter of this trilogy, and we will take it from there. The analysis will continue with the next movie.
Well, on our next episode, this film was followed by a direct sequel, Halloween Ends, released October 14th, 2022, and we will be looking at that because, Chris, I did not go see that in theaters. I sat at home and I watched it on Peacock.
Yep, I did not see it in theaters.
So I won't spoil any first impressions or anything of the film or how I feel about it nowadays. But just know that I was super excited when the trailer came out, but I decided to stay home, and let's just say that I'm glad I did. So that is all I will say.
Indeed.
So before we get out of here, as always, I will thank you for joining me on this one, because these Halloween films have turned out to be a lot of fun, just like the Friday the 13th and another fun franchise that we have coming up soon. So I can't wait to continue.
Indeed. Always fun.
So thank you. Thank anyone who's out there listening. Again, we have Halloween Ends on our next episode as we draw closer to the Halloween holiday. So again, thanks to Chris. Thank anyone out there. And until next time.
Lori, what is it?
I'm coming for you, Michael.